Hey YouTube, how's it going? I want to show a knife to you today and talk to you more about a process than the actual knife itself. This is my, it's locked. This is my Benchmade Barrage. It's a pretty cool knife, the only Benchmade that I have right now, but I'm extremely pleased with it. And if you notice, if you're familiar with the barrage, you're seeing some colors that you don't usually see. And that's the main purpose of this video, is to talk about this really cool program that Benchmade has, where you can go to their website and kind of customize your knife. You can pick the blade steel and the shape and color of the hardware, like the pocket clip and the screws and the axis lock, even the liners. You can kind of choose for yourself. You can pick the scales. The back spacer, obviously, I don't think anybody normally would see that in orange. And even the blade steel is something you can pick for yourself. And you can pick, of course, the color, satin or black. And so it's a really, really cool program. And you do pay a little more for it because you're buying from the manufacturer. For some reason, they always want more. But, you know, it's sort of something we're used to, because any other product that you specifically customize for yourself to the way you want it, generally that costs more, whether it be on your car or, you know, a piece of clothing that you get tailored, or, you know, pretty much anything that you upgrade is going to cost you a little more. And I will say that doing it the way I did through the Benchmade website costs considerably less than if you were to just buy this knife, let's say from, you know, Amazon or Blade HQ or one of those retailers, and then send it out to have different scales and backspacer and stuff like that put on it. So you actually, you know, when you compare like to like, which is, you know, a customized knife to a customized knife, you end up actually doing pretty well by doing this way, with the exception of one thing. And this is something that's really serious. If you're watching this, you need to know before you go on the website and get all excited. Benchmade totally blew it on delivery on this thing. The UPS guy came to my house and wanted a lot of money to drop off the knife. And so I'm still talking with Benchmade about that. I was really upset. They needed to at least indicate what it was going to cost for shipping. If not, use another option. You know, they should have, you know, every website I've ever ordered from, you can go standard shipping or UPS or US Postal Service, whatever. And Benchmade really should have done that. I was really disappointed, and still am, in the cost to ship this thing. I've shipped a lot of stuff across the border and across Canada, and never, ever had any kind of cost even close to what it cost me for UPS to deliver this knife. So I was really upset about that and found it completely outrageous. So you need to know that right away, and you need to know that I'm really upset about it. But I'm really pleased with the knife. So let's move on from the negative stuff. And, you know, 5 years from now, I'll still have this knife, and I probably won't even remember the frustration that I was experiencing when this knife first came, when I first found out what it was going to cost me to have it delivered. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to go through this process and pick up a knife for yourself, make sure that, even if it means calling Benchmade specifically to place your order, make sure that you do not get this thing delivered by UPS. It's a horrible, horrible price. Normally UPS is really good. For some reason, their arrangement with Benchmade and maybe crossing the border and stuff, it was just a bad, you know, charging schedule. So outside of that, this is an awesome blade. It's a Warren Osborne design. And so I'm a big fan of Warren Osborne knives. All my favorite Benchmades, the Contigo, the Rift, the 940, the 943, this Barrage, of course, they're all Warren Osborne. I just find myself favoring his designs by quite a large margin over everything else Benchmade does. And the other option for customization right now is the Griptilian. And I got to say, the Griptilian just does not do anything for me. I know many of you own a Griptilian and love the Griptilian, but it just does not appeal. There's something with the handle shape that I cannot deal with. It just is really, really a terrible handle shape as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying it doesn't function well. It's just the look of it, just the appearance. Anyway, carrying on, the Barrage, I love the handle shape. I love the way it looks when it's folded down. I love the size. I love the weight. This is an 8.35 inch overall length, 3.6-inch blade. It's 4.2 ounces. So for a big knife, and you know, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I'm crazy about this. I love it when you get a big knife for a small size and weight when it's folded down in your pocket. Really important to me. Spear point blade, which is again my favorite blade style. Now the barrage only comes in that blade style. The Griptilian actually has a number of different blade styles, and one of the things I love is that spider hole deployment that they must be paying Spyderco a significant amount of money to have. But the Spyderco, I have some Spyderco knives, and that hole is perfect. Like, whoever thought of that just is a genius. It's a really, really good system. Anyway, I seem to be going off topic a lot. It's an assisted opening knife, which is really, really cool. It's not, you know, there's no legal issues. There's nothing like that. This does not open just by actuating the lock. It doesn't open just by gravity. You have to push on that blade to get it to open. And so because of that, it's totally fine, and probably is most places. It also has a safety, and the safety is actually really good for a couple of reasons. One, I have a 3-year-old at home, and an assisted knife and a 3-year-old do not go well together unless you can lock that knife closed. So now that the lock is on, you can't open it. Excellent. And the nice thing about locks is, I mean, simplicity is good, and that's what I wanted to say that's good about this lock. All it does is stop the access lock from moving. So perfect. If the access lock can't be actuated, the blade can't open. The other side of this coin is that when the blade is open, you can lock it open. If you're doing something where you think you might actuate that lock, I don't know what you'd be doing, but that's an option that you have with the way that locking mechanism works. The safety, I guess is what they call it, works. The access lock is really, really good. I've got to say, after having it and using it for a while, there's no wonder that this access lock is so popular. And I just don't think I would buy a Benchmade knife that didn't have the access lock. It's just awesome. And I'm not going to argue that's the strongest lock out there. Certainly it's strong enough to do anything you should be doing with a folding knife. If you want to do more than what you should be doing with a folding knife, I hate to say this, but get a cold steel. That triad lock is just ridiculous. Anyway, I talked about the safety, I talked about the access lock, all of which are really cool. The color scheme that I picked is of course personal to me, but man, I love the way the black and tan, the gray and tan went together with black hardware and an orange spacer. Just really, really, really pleased with the overall look of this knife and the feel. This handle is a little thicker than some handles on folding knives, and that it makes it much more comfortable in hand. Great for a user knife, especially if you're doing something you're going to be pushing on this pretty hard. That handle is very, very good, and the extra size helps as well because the handle material is just a high-end plastic, and it's not as grippy as G10. I'm not afraid of dropping it or anything like that, but you need to know that it's a little bit slick, but because of the size and shape of the handle, that makes up for the slickness. If this was a smaller handle, I don't think I'd be crazy about the material there. Now, one thing that was really cool that comes with that whole system of customizing your knife is you could pick the blade steel. So normally, I believe this knife comes in 154 cm, but this particular one is S30V. So I was able to even pick the kind of steel, which I think was really awesome. And there was a couple, I think there were 4 options you could choose from: 154 cm, S30V, VN, whatever the VN one is, and maybe one more. Because I was, making this knife for myself and doing it exactly the way I wanted, of course I was going to go with the higher end steel. So really, really, really pleased with the service that Benchmade is offering, and really pleased with the Barrage. Awesome knife. Even if you're just going to buy a factory spec awesome Barrage, you can't go wrong. It's super light, it's comfortable, everything, all the features on it work as they should, as you would expect them to. Just a great, great knife. Now, if you like a knife that's unique to you from Benchmade, this service is really cool, and it's a lot of fun just to go and play with. I'm sure the traffic to Benchmade's website has really gone up since they started doing that. What I would say is I wish they offered more knives in it. I wish, some of those knives that I mentioned, the Contigo and the Rift, and even some others that aren't Warren Osborne, the Griptilian is on there, and you can have even more options in terms of blade shape with that. But the Presidio, for example, would be a cool knife, or the Bone Collector would be a cool knife to be able to customize to your own specs and have them put it together and send it to you. So I'd like to see that expanded. But one more reminder of the nonsense with UPS. Make sure that if you decide to order a knife from Benchmade, you know how much it's going to cost you to ship it, because this thing was exorbitantly expensive, and I'm really upset about that. But if you don't mind paying a little more to get the knife exactly the way you want it, this is such a cool program, and there's a huge element of pride of ownership here, because who else is going to have a barrage with that color scheme, with the orange backspacer in S30V steel? Most anyone else who has a barrage, they're going to go, yeah, it's going to be black with 154 cm in either a black or satin finish. But mine is going to be unique to me, and that is just really cool. If you are into knives at all, or even if you just want that one knife, even if you're the guy who says, I want to just find the one knife, I don't care to own 10, just give me one that's just what I want. Well, what a great program for you, because you can go on and pick the color, the blade, everything just the way you want it. So I've got to say, really cool program. I'm really glad Benchmade did this, and I would love to see some other manufacturers do it. Wouldn't you love to make a Spyderco paramilitary just to your color specifications and not have to send it away and spend a lot of money? So the Barrage is a great knife. The customization features that Benchmade has is a great program, and I highly recommend both. And I've just got to say, there's a cool factor to this knife that it just wouldn't have if I got it any other way. Just wouldn't be there outside of me specifically sending it to someone who could do all the customization work. So that's my take on the Benchmade Barrage and on the customization offerings that Benchmade is doing, where you can go to their website and put a knife together that's unique to you. Got to say, I love both. I highly recommend both. Just be warned about that shipping, and have a great day.